So one of the most important parts of being a webtoon PD is you have to read a lot. I think it's something that a lot of creators don't quite understand when they make their submissions. Hi, my name is Mike. I work in the Korean webtoon industry here in Seoul, South Korea, and I've worked for companies like Legend, TopToon. I work for Naver, not for webtoons, and I've also worked for subsidiaries of Kakao, a subsidiary of Kakao. So back in 2020, I was the head of US publishing at Legend Comics, and one of the things I did that year was I set up the Legend 2020 Legend Comic Challenge, and that was a big international comic contest that they had, where we took webtoon submissions from all around the world, judged them, and picked 3 winners. So one of the things that happened immediately after that was we started getting a lot more submissions, which is normal. One of the submissions I got, it was late at night, it was like 9 p.m., I was still at the office and I was still working. It was like a really gritty action story, and the art was pretty good. The typesetting was really messy, and it didn't match the art at all. But I remember reading the art and thinking, "Oh, this is pretty interesting. I'm kind of interested in where this goes." So I was reading through the first episode, and I started scrolling down, and I was like, "Oh, the art was good," and I was like, "Oh no!" And as I kept on going, I realized the art was really good, and I went, "Oh no!" And for a very simple reason, and for a good reason, it was completely and utterly plagiarized. Now, I didn't grow up in South Korea. I grew up in California, in Los Angeles area. And one of the things I did a lot when I was a kid was I read a lot of manga, I watched a lot of anime, and most importantly, I read a lot of comic books. After about 4 minutes of reviewing the submission, I pretty much knew that they had scene for scene plagiarized Lee Bermejo's Batman Damned, which was actually not an old comic book, it's a more recent comic book. But at the time, I remember thinking, oh man, you can't do this. At the time, I talked to other PDs who were working at Legend Comics as well. And it's not an uncommon thing. Occasionally, you will get comics where some of the panels are a little bit too close to other panels from really popular works. So a lot of creators think, oh, hey, there's like hundreds of webtoons, hundreds of comics, hundreds of mangas being released every year. If I copy a little bit here and there, maybe they won't notice. I'm not even a webtoon PD anymore, but I still read hundreds of comics, hundreds of webtoons, and not hundreds of manga, but a fair amount of manga every year. And if you plagiarize something, even if it's not recent, it could be old, most likely if 2 PDs look at it, they'll catch it. And that'll be the last time that anyone from that company, ever responds to an email for you. So just a heads up, that's part of a PD's job. It's generally given to be one of the most difficult parts of a PD's job, is to just read everything that comes out everywhere. So that's my story for the day. If you guys are interested in webtoon content, if you guys are interested in learning more about what the Korean webtoon industry is like, please drop a follow, like, subscribe, whatever. And always you can read my Substack, where I post a lot of content about what's going on in the current webtoon industry here in Korea and how that affects the rest of the world. Bye.